to today's live stream. I hope you are feeling well. Here we are, we're back together. There you are, over there. Here we are, back together. And there you are, over there. It's so nice to have your company once again today. We are back with you, everyone. Hi, everybody. Oh, isn't it nice to be back again? I have to say, I am rather excited. My name is Mr. Duncan, and his name...
Well, I'm Mr. Steve.
He is Mr. Steve. He is my co-presenter. He is my very special guest. You might say that we are both your special guests in your home, you see, today. So we are with you now live from England. It's English Addict, and it's a short one today. We have a very good reason for it. We are about to start a very busy week, Mr. Steve and myself. We are going away also next weekend. Steve is taking me away for a lovely weekend because, of course, I'm going to mention it straight away. Next weekend, it's my birthday. Next Saturday, the 12th of August, is my birthday, so I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know what Steve has planned. I'm sure something is going to happen. So don't give me any clues, Steve. I always like to have a nice surprise.
Well, Mr. Duncan, welcome, and it's lovely to be here again on what is a much nicer day weather-wise here in the UK. We had a storm yesterday, a very unusual storm.
We did.
Lots of high winds, not usual at this time of the year.
It's very unusual for August. It's also very cold.
Yes, but it's warm out there today, but yesterday it was cold. People were lighting their log fires in the village. That shows you how cold it was. It's August.
Yeah, it's strange. So last night it was almost, it was almost freezing last night. There was ice. Well, no, you can scoff, Mr. Steve, but in Germany they had to get the snow ploughs out.
You're joking.
Yesterday. I'm not joking. They had the most horrendous hailstorm. Lots of pieces of ice fell from the sky, but not just a few, hundreds of thousands. And they had to get the snow ploughs to clear the roads.
Was it hail?
So everything, yes, I just said hail. So hailstones fell and the whole area was white. It looked like snow, but it wasn't. So there you go, you see, and that's in August.
Well, who was it? Tadros, I can't remember who he's the head of. Is it the UN or something? Didn't he say we were heading for global boiling?
We are. We're going to be like an egg.
Not in the UK, it seems, just yet.
No.
Although, of course, they have had very hot weather in Spain and Portugal and other parts of Europe.
Talking of the weather, I have a special lesson coming up next week, a special short lesson all about the weather, because if there's one thing that people here in Britain are crazy about, we love talking about the weather. What will the weather be like tomorrow? Will it be warm next week? Oh, isn't the weather terrible? Isn't it cold? Isn't it hot? It's too cold. It's too hot. So that is one of the subjects I am talking about next week. We are looking at the weather. Some changes next week, of course. There won't be an English Addict next Sunday, but there might be something coming from us through the internet next Sunday, but it won't look like this. And that's it, really. So we are off to our favourite place in Wales to celebrate my birthday. And I have to say, I'm a little bit excited, to be honest.
Yes, just before you get any ideas, we have people staying in the house while we're away. So, got to be careful how you advertise where
Yes.
you're going. But yes, we have people staying here. I've got special guests arriving on Friday before we go.
Yeah, the fact
and
that
they've got a very big, loud, dangerous dog.
a very big, loud, dangerous dog.
Yes. Just to make things clear, if you've got any ideas.
You know, the more you say that, the more it sounds as if this house is going to be empty next
It's
weekend.
not, because as I say, we have got dangerous people all the way from Birmingham
What?
coming to stay here to protect what little we have.
Why do they have to come from Birmingham?
Well, because people are dangerous in Birmingham, Mind you, they could come from Wolverhampton or even parts of Telford are a bit rough.
So is there any reason why your friends are from Birmingham?
Well, they're not really friends. Let's just say I'm paying them to come here and protect our assets.
So we are paying people to come and stay in our house next week who are not trustworthy, and they might be dangerous, and you're trusting them to take care of our house.
Actually, we've got cameras everywhere and we can monitor them 24/7 on the internet.
Yeah, that would be a better story.
Yeah, so the slightest alarms will go off wherever we are, and we can immediately press the panic button and get somebody around.
Yes.
So beware.
And also we have very nosy neighbours.
Exactly.
In fact, that's all you need. You
Always
don't need sophisticated alarm systems. What you actually need are nosy neighbours. So we have very nosy neighbours. They're always watching. So there. So when we're away next weekend, don't burgle the house, because the neighbours will see you. They see everything.
Mind you, you'll have all your valuables with you, because your most valuable assets are your cameras.
Yes.
And you will be taking those with you
That's
to wherever it is we're going. Not that there's going to be any surprises for
Steve,
Mr. Duncan.
You're drawing far too much attention to the fact that we're not here next week.
The fact that it's your birthday, you mean?
Well, it is my birthday next week. Did I mention that? I'm not sure if I mentioned that next Saturday it's my birthday, and I'm very excited, to be honest. I love having a birthday, even though I'm now approaching a certain age.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying, a certain age. Steve passed that certain age a couple of years ago.
What we tend to say is when you're getting old, you're over the hill.
Not quite.
Over the hill.
Not yet.
It means that, as you're approaching your peak in life, you're going up the hill. And then when you're going down, everything's going downhill towards ultimate demise.
Okay, Steve.
At some point, hopefully a long time in the future.
You know, there are people tuning in today to be cheered up.
Over the hill.
Okay. Right.
It's like a graph.
Well,
you went up, now you're going down.
Yes, we've got it, Steve.
I'm just explaining. This is an English teaching channel, Mr.
Yes.
Duncan. I feel as though I need to explain
Okay,
things.
Steve. What did I say just before we came on? Keep it concise. Keep it brief. As Shakespeare said, brevity is the soul of wit. It also helps us to fit everything into our live stream. We are back. We're very happy to see you. Hello to the live chat also. First, once again, congratulations, Vitas.
Yes, well done. And our friend from the UK, Martin, is here
Hello,
today. Marty D. Marty D, as he calls himself on here, no doubt from his new flat.
Okay.
He has moved into a new flat. He is now free, able to do whatever he wants in his flat. We don't want to know the details. I'm sure it's disgusting.
Why
but
are you
whatever it is.
giving... Don't give other
I'm
people's...
joking.
All right, Steve.
I'm in a bit of a high today, Mr. Duncan, because I've been outside. I've had 2 eggs, by the way, before I came on.
Okay.
I've had 2 eggs. I'm full of energy, and I've been chopping trees. Anyway, there isn't time to talk about that kind of nonsense.
You do realise you're
on with the show.
You are going to be complaining in a few moments because we won't be having enough time to do the things we want to do.
You mean like the sentence game?
No.
Fill in the blanks?
It's called Fill in the Blanks, Steve. Keep up with it. As you know, recently I've been out and about filming in different places, and I've been travelling as far as Paris and London, but I realised that in this area we have lots of wonderful places to visit as well. And I was thinking of a local landmark, a lovely local landmark which has been around for many, many years. Here it is. I'm going to show it now on the screen. So here it is. So this is a very well-known place called the Crooked House. It's in an area called Himley, not very far from here, really, in the West Midlands. And it's been around for many years. It has a couple of very odd features. One is that it is crooked, and here is a more recent photograph of it. And it used to be a farmhouse. Now it is a pub, or it was, because it closed down a few months ago. And I thought it would be fun to go there and do a little bit of filming. The only problem is, last night it burnt down.
Oh, you're joking?
No.
Oh, my goodness, Mr. Duncan, I'm quite shocked.
Yeah.
It burnt down the famous
Crooked House. Yes, this place is a well-known landmark in the area, and it burnt down last night.
Oh, Mr. Duncan, you've shocked me there. I was not aware.
No. So
of this tragic news. Actually, that is a very well-known landmark in the Midlands.
Yes. So there it is. That's what it used to look like when it was open as a pub, and that's what it looked like last night when it was on fire. But the strange thing is, it's been derelict for a while, and it's been bought recently by some developers who wanted to save it and restore it. And last night it burnt down. So now a lot of people are starting to think maybe the fire wasn't accidental. That's what people are thinking. I'm not saying that's what actually happened, but some people are wondering whether it was on purpose, whether there was something very devious going on. So sadly, the Crooked House, which is an amazing place, but it was.
Marty says that he's had many drinks there.
Yes.
And as have we, so I didn't know, I didn't hear about that news, Mr. Duncan. Anyway, it's tragic. We'll move on, Mr. Duncan, we haven't got time.
Look at that, though. But the most amazing thing about this place is if you go inside, all of the rooms are also wonky. They also lean over. But there is something you can do, or you could do in there, and that was you could roll a penny uphill. So it would appear as if gravity was being defied.
It was a strange place. It makes you feel a bit sort of disorientated when you go in because everything doesn't look level.
I think that's so sad. So this place is so well known in this area. If you ever say to anyone who lives in the Midlands, that if you say the Crooked House, you can guarantee that most people have been there. But last night it burnt to the ground, unfortunately. Isn't that sad? I bet you're shocked, aren't you?
Yes, but let's move on.
Yes.
Because we haven't got time, as you keep saying.
Today, well, that was something planned, you see. The things that are planned are okay. If we're planning to talk about things, then that's all right. So don't forget, next week, by the way, different. Next Sunday, different things. Because it's my birthday, I might mention...
What is it again, next weekend?
My birthday.
Oh, right.
It's my birthday, Mr. Steve. Are you excited? I am, anyway.
Sure you are.
So that's what we're doing next weekend, and a very busy week. Mr. Steve has been working hard, of course, in his new job. How is it going, by the way?
Bit of a stressful week, I would say, Mr. Duncan. Bit of a stressful week.
Most of it caused by technology?
Technology, yes. You know, the good old simple days when I could just go and see my customers, write everything down on a piece of paper and send it into head office are long gone. Everything now is IT related. I couldn't even begin to explain the complications involved in what seemed to be the most simple of tasks. And yet it's all very complicated. But I've somehow managed to survive the week. Despite the pressure of having to learn new IT stuff almost every day.
I still love it, though. I still can't get over this fact that Steve now has to use computers all the time when to be honest, he's not a big fan of technology.
I get stressed.
So I find it amazing. I have to say, even now, even though it's been years years and years since you started using the technology, but it is amazing still. It still blows me away.
I know I'm okay, but once I've learned how to do it, I'm fine. But it's just such a waste of time. You know, instead of employing people at head office, admin people who would input all this data, we now have to basically do it all ourselves.
That's it.
So I'm sure it saves money, but never mind.
I remember the good old days of paper, pieces of paper. You just write things down and then send them to your boss, and then your boss would look at them and he would go, okay then, very good, and then put it into a filing cabinet where it would stay for 1,000 years without anyone looking at it ever again.
Put it this way, I got my first paycheck last week, Mr. Duncan, so that was, let's just say, compensation.
Yes, this is paying for the Paris trip.
Compensation for the stress involved in having to manage and deal with IT-related things.
Internet technology, IT, information technology. It's all about the IT nowadays. It is.
It's all on iPads. That's all you get now, an iPad. And there's a lot of things you can't do on an iPad that are very, very easy to do on a laptop. So that's the basic problem. But anyway, we won't go into that.
No, don't go into it just yet.
I'm being paid, and that's all that matters.
That's it. Oh, a bit of sad news. Now, I was feeling a bit sad during the week. Some very sad news, Mr. Steve. As you know, I am a very big fan of this particular person, Pee Wee Herman.
Oh.
I love this guy so much. He's eccentric, he's strange, he's childish, he's bizarre, and sadly he passed away last week at the age of 70 after suffering cancer for the past 6 years and not telling anyone about it. He kept it completely secret. Paul Rubens is the guy's name who plays Pee Wee Herman, so he died last week. I was really sad. It's not very often that the death of a celebrity upsets me, but this did make me feel rather sad because I like people who are slightly odd and eccentric. So you might say that Mr. Steve is a little bit like that. So I thought that was a bit sad that we had to say goodbye to Pee Wee Herman last week for the final time. So I was a little bit upset, I will be honest with you, Mr. Steve.
Yes, I mean, these are sort of iconic people that have been around for a long time. They've made us happy, they've made us laugh, and now they're gone, and it's always a bit sad. But
I can do a good impression of Pee Wee Herman, but not at the moment. Not in this dry, hot studio.
Well, I think you ought to take over from the point of eccentricity, Mr. Duncan.
I'm not sure about.
I think we're both a bit eccentric.
We are. We are both weird for various reasons, but that's it, really. That's it. It's a bit of sad news. I don't like it when people who make you laugh die. It always seems quite tragic, very tragic, in fact. Today, by the way, we are looking at persuasion. Being persuasive. Some people are very good at being persuasive. They have some sort of characteristic, or maybe the way they speak, or maybe the way they use certain words, maybe their whole character. They are very good at persuading you to do things. Maybe there are certain jobs, certain careers that a person might take up if they want to show off their persuasive nature. So there are lots of people who might be like that. I'm not sure if I am like that, but I have been in situations in the past where I've had to be like that. And we will be looking at that in a few moments.
Politicians, of course, have to be very persuasive.
They sure do.
Salespeople have to be persuasive. You have to be able to communicate what you want to get across to other people.
Yes.
And I think that's the skill in being persuasive is being able to communicate what it is in a good way that people can understand.
And we will be talking all about that in a few moments from now. And yes, the cows are actually still with us at the back of the house, and they've become very friendly over the past 3 or 4 months, to be honest. Today's subject is being persuasive. There are lots of words, lots of phrases we can use, and that is today's subject, everyone. I hope you will stay with us. Lots of words and phrases. Maybe you are a persuasive person. Maybe you are good at persuading people to do things, or maybe you are a good leader, because of course I think being a leader of maybe a group is also a very good way of being persuasive. There are many positive ways of doing that. So here we go, Steve. Let's have a look at some words, shall we? First of all,
Go ahead.
The most obvious one, I suppose, persuade. Persuade. To convince or influence. I'll make that a little bit bigger because that's annoying me, you see. You know me, Steve. That's better. I can see it more clearly now. To persuade, to convince, or to influence someone. Can you think of a way that someone might persuade or might try to convince someone? Is there some sort of way of doing it, particularly?
You're trying to hypnotise somebody, you mean?
Well, maybe not hypnotise. We might look at that later on. But I'm talking about vocally. So quite often persuasion is normally done vocally, isn't it?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes. It's very rare that we try to persuade someone any other way. And it's interesting that. So it's one of those few things that you do, but you can only do it vocally. You can do it, I suppose, visually, but even then you have to have someone somewhere talking or telling you things. So I think persuading someone is always verbal. It's always a verbal thing. Would you say, Steve?
Yes, of course, adverts on the television. They always say if you want to convince somebody of something, you want to engage. This is what they tell us in selling techniques. If you want to try and have an impact, get your point across, then engage as many of the senses as you can. So, you want to engage people orally with the way you talk and the words that you say. You want to engage people visually with something written down on a piece of paper. But anything else you can bring in, like smell, maybe. If you were trying to sell some food, I mean, supermarkets do that quite well. They have the smell of coffee or baking bread filtered through the air to try and persuade you to buy things. But yes, obviously vocally is the common way, the words that you say. But if you can back that up with something written down at the same time, and then a follow-up. Of course, adverts are very well designed to try and persuade us to buy their products. So you've got everything there. You've got the visual of the product, and then you have somebody talking as well.
Yes, and I think, well, I suppose vocally and also audio, from audio or listening to something as well, because you have to listen to what a person is saying, but also the words they use. So it is quite a complicated thing. It might seem like a simple thing, but in fact, it can happen even when we don't realise it. So that is the best type of persuasion. The best persuasion is always the one that you don't know is happening.
You mean like adverts that are sort of flashing by as you're driving? You go you see a lot of adverts now when you're driving, don't you, on the side of motorways? There are big sort of advertising screens, and you might just for a second see a name of a product, like, I don't know, a well-known popular fizzy drink or something like that. And it's just keeping that name up in your head so that you when you come to buy something, you feel thirsty, you will buy that drink, the last one that was imprinted on your brain from an advert.
And that is why so many people spend a large amount of money every year on advertising, on television, in the newspapers, on the internet. So you see adverts everywhere. But I think human beings are also capable of persuading another person very subtly. So when we say subtle,
Yes.
we mean they do it in a very gentle way, a very, not always positive, by the way. So persuading someone is not necessarily a positive thing, because you might be persuading them to do something bad, or maybe to go down the wrong path in life. So it's not always a positive thing.
And adverts these days are very sophisticated. They're trying to engage you with a lifestyle. They're not just selling you, for example, a car in a way that would be, well, here's a good thing that will get you from A to B. It's trying to persuade you that if you buy this car, you're somehow part of a different culture or a different way of thinking, or you're more sophisticated or something, because the images they use on the screen depict somebody. I mean, for example, if they're selling 4x4s, they always show 4x4s or SUVs, careering down mountain paths, in the type of landscape that you would never ever drive these vehicles in. But somehow, if you've bought that product, somehow you think that you're somehow, in the countryside, going up and down mountains and things. It's an image. It's an impression that it gives you.
So it's giving people power in some sort of way, or maybe elevating their position in society as well. If you live in a certain area or own a certain thing, maybe you feel as if you are slightly better than everyone else. So quite often these things are used to persuade other people or us to do things or buy things. I think
we have to do this all the time.
Yeah.
Persuading people is something you have to do all the time. I mean, I have to persuade you to make me a cup of coffee sometimes, or we're always doing it to each other, maybe even to ourselves. We're trying to talk ourselves into doing something, but we're always trying to persuade somebody to do something. All the time. Not just the obvious things like if you're a salesperson, but if you're in an office and you're a manager or a boss, you have to persuade or somehow convince your subordinates to do the tasks that you want them to do.
Yes, well, that's the job, isn't it?
That's the job.
We might say that, I don't know, for example, he tried to persuade me to lend him some money. So he wants some money. He wants you to lend you some money. He wants some money from you for a short period of time, but maybe he knows that you won't do it or you don't want to do it. So he tried to persuade me to lend him some money. This is coercion as well. You might use the word coercion. You are trying to change that person's mind or their opinion. To change a person's viewpoint, you try to convince someone, Mr. Steve, to change their opinion. And as you know, we live in a very polarized world at the moment where there are many clear divisions. Can you think of maybe 2 divisions at the moment that exist where people are trying to change each other's opinions or
point of view? What you mean in politics?
Well, politics is the one, isn't it, really, that we always think of. So at the moment we have left and right both trying to change the hearts and minds of the population. And that is, I suppose, one of the most common forms of persuasion, where opinion about a certain thing, a certain subject, a certain point of view can maybe change after someone persuades you to change your mind.
Yes, it's very interesting at the moment in politics in the UK because Conservatives aren't doing very well. They are seen to have sort of failed over the last 10 or 15 years. But it's also, you could say that Labour and Conservatives are all very, very similar in what they're offering. There isn't a big difference between them. So really, whoever you vote for, you're not going to get very much difference. So now they're trying, because there's an election coming up next year in the UK, so they're trying to differentiate themselves, Labour and Conservatives. And I've noticed recently that the green agenda, this net zero, which a lot of countries in Europe are aspiring to.
Okay.
It's being sort of toned down by the Conservatives in the UK now.
I don't know what this has to do with convincing or
because
persuading.
they're trying to persuade people to vote for but Conservatives see that they're not going to get in at the next election because they're not popular. So they're trying to find a way of convincing you not to vote Labour, and they're trying to do that at the moment by this green agenda. They're trying to come off that and try and say to people, we don't really need, to have green cars, or we don't need to do this, because they're trying to drive a wedge and persuade people that if they vote Conservative, then they're still going to be able to drive their cars and be able to do all the things that the green agenda
cars will always be around though, won't they?
But that's what they're trying to do, Mr. Duncan.
Yeah.
Just explaining.
No, that's good. But I was thinking more of the United States. When you want to look at polarized views, I think the US and of course many other countries as well. You might have Pakistan, which has been in the news over the past 24 hours, and other parts of the world across Europe as well. So polarizing views are opposite views, and each side is always trying to persuade people to go over to their side. I suppose there's many things. Religion is another one, isn't it? I suppose religion. One group of religious people from a certain religion, they might want another group of people to join them, or maybe people who have no religion at all, you see. So there is always persuasion taking place. And you can see an example down here. Can't I persuade you to vote the other way? Is it possible for me to get you to change your mind? Maybe, as Steve rightly said, you mentioned a salesperson. Sales. It's all about persuading, isn't it?
Yes.
It's one of the hardest jobs, I think. I did it many years ago.
But if you know you've got a good product, then it's not too difficult. Beatrice is off to the mountains.
Oh, okay then.
So she can't stay for too long. So bye, Beatrice. Hope you have a nice time there. People are wondering where Lewis is today.
Oh, okay.
No Lewis today.
No, I haven't seen Lewis.
We hope he's okay.
No, he's probably looking after his family. Or
yes.
He's out enjoying the sunshine.
Exactly.
It is actually sunny today. So the weather isn't too bad at the moment. So maybe Lewis is outside enjoying the weather. Many years ago, I worked in sales a long time ago, and it is all about persuasion, the words you use. And it is amazing how you can use certain phrases in sales. I'm sure you can think of at least a couple, Steve. So we often talk about the items that we have in stock. And we often like to make people afraid or fearful that they might miss out on that thing by saying that the stock is going down, or maybe there is a possibility in the future that they might run out of stock. So that is often used in sales, isn't it, Steve?
Scarcity.
Yes. So you scare people into thinking that that product might suddenly be unavailable, which then, of course, encourages them to start buying those things.
Apparently Lewis is meeting Marcia in Paris.
Oh, so it's this weekend that's happening.
Yeah, it looks like it. Wow, I did, yeah, right, okay.
Because I know Marcia was coming over, but I didn't think the meeting was this weekend. Oh, okay. Okay. So
were we invited?
Well, I don't think so, as we're not there.
Only joking.
Here we go. Anyway, moving on, Steve. A person who is good at persuasion is persuasive. So we are saying that that person has a certain quality, and that quality is their ability to persuade another person to do something. So I think that's quite a good way of using that particular word. You are persuading someone to do something. Of course, a forceful, influential, convincing person can also be described as persuasive, although that's not necessarily positive, would you say?
Yes, it depends what they're trying to convince you of, or what they're trying to get you to do. So yes, it can be positive or negative. You've got to be careful, I think, sometimes when you're trying to persuade people to do things, because if they don't really want to do it, then it's obviously a negative thing. It's like a parent trying to convince their child to do something that they think is good for them, or they would like to have done themselves. It's like trying to convince your child to go to university, for example. I mean, it might be a good idea, but it might not be the best thing for them. I think sometimes people have to make up their own minds, don't they?
I think so.
About things like that. So yes, you can sometimes persuade people to do things that isn't in their best interests.
Oh, Monmartero says Mr. Duncan is very good at persuading me to learn English. Well, that is a positive thing, of course. So quite often persuasion, to persuade someone to do well in their lives. Teachers, I suppose teachers have to be persuasive because they are trying to encourage you to learn a certain subject and to be interested in certain things, and of course to have a good life. Here's a great expression. He or she can charm the birds from the trees. So you might say that a person who is very good at persuading other people, maybe they have a certain charm. So a person who is charming quite often is very good at persuading people.
Yes, somebody who's attractive physically, that always helps, because you might be so enamoured by their tone of voice, their look, their manner, that you almost don't listen to what they're saying. And it's no coincidence, Mr. Duncan, that in the profession of sales, quite often, if your target audience is male, then the company will tend to employ female salespeople who are very attractive.
Oh.
And I've noticed that in my line of work, Mr. Duncan, that my particular customers, in the previous job, a lot of them were male, and other companies would employ very attractive women who would dress quite provocatively in an attempt to persuade their customers to purchase from them.
Yeah.
It's not unknown,
No.
maybe a little unethical, but it does happen.
Yes,
We all know it happens.
Yes, I think it does all the time. Again, the best types of influence are the ones you don't notice or the ones you don't realise are happening. Some of them are very obvious.
Saturino uses the word influencer
Yes. Well, it's a hot word. It's a buzzword.
on the internet, isn't it? On
Generally,
YouTube.
yes. In general society, an influencer is a person who has the ability to convince people, or maybe a popular person who has a certain personality or a way of doing things. And there are many influences. And yes, you're right, Steve. Quite often we talk about the internet. On the internet, there are many people who are influential. They have the ability to influence. They maybe have a very large audience. So it's not me. It's definitely not me. I'm definitely not an influencer. But there are
I
many.
think you are, Mr. Duncan. In the area of sales, a lot of people think sales is difficult, but if you believe in your product and it's the same with politicians. If you believe what you say you can convince people. If you have sincerity and if you truly believe in what you're doing and what you're saying or what you're selling, then that will come across. You will come across as an authentic person, as a person who believes in what they're saying and they're doing. And that does the job for you, really.
I think so.
I've always been lucky to work for companies where I've had products that are better than the competition. And so I've always found it relatively easy to persuade customers to buy things. You've just got to get the pertinent information across.
Yes, so the important information is what you have to give out.
Of course, politicians often and influencers like to tap into areas of society that maybe are unhappy about something in their lives. And so they will see that as an opportunity, sometimes in a cynical way, to gain influence and to gain popularity. I mean, there's that famous... he's been released now. He was on house arrest, wasn't he? Accused of all sorts of crimes against women.
Oh, Andrew Tate.
That's it. So he's seen as an influencer because he's tapping into sort of white male people who feel suppressed.
Yeah.
So he's tapped into that and he's influencing people in that way.
Yes.
So yeah, you can often. I mean, he's sincere about it and he's successful.
Well,
but
everyone's sincere about what they do. I mean, criminals rob banks and they're very sincere.
Yeah, but I'm not about influencing.
Yes. Well, influencers are not always good. You see.
Yeah.
So I suppose Andrew Tate is a good example of that divisive person who divides opinion as well. So that's quite good. Here we have some more to look at. Advertising, Steve. This is the one. This is the big one where we talk about persuading people to do things, or maybe you are trying to encourage someone to buy your product. You will have advertising. Although nowadays, because fewer people watch TV, I'm about to choke to death.
Oh, Mr. Duncan, we've talked about advertising, of course, being a very popular way to try and convince people to buy products. If it didn't work, we wouldn't have it, so it must work. The companies spend millions and millions on advertising. I mean, take Coca-Cola, for example. You would think that has been around since the 50s, has it, Coca-Cola? Or before then, a long time.
1800s.
1800s. You would think that they wouldn't need to advertise, but they do still spend huge sums of money advertising because it works, keeps the name of the product in people's minds and persuades you to buy their drink.
Yes. So advertising is probably the one that we always think of, and the best advertising, of course, are the ones that you don't realise are trying to advertise to you. I saw it advertised on TV, so maybe you buy something you saw on television the next day. Maybe you saw it. I don't think it happens very often to us. We're not very good people when it comes to being influenced by TV commercials on television.
Of course, what TV commercials are trying to do, which is we live in a very consumerist society, don't we?
Definitely.
Driven by consumerism, consumption, using things, throwing them away and buying new things. The power of advertising relies on human frailties such as envy. So by advertising a shiny new car or something like that, it's tapping into your feeling of envy that your neighbour has got. So if you see your neighbour with this shiny new car, then you want to get one as well.
Yes, and also the other way around, where you want to get one up on another person.
Yes.
So maybe someone that you don't like and you want to make them really unhappy and angry, so you get something that is better than what they have. So it works both ways, I suppose.
I like to think I only buy things if I need them.
That's it.
It isn't 100% true because obviously I do want a Ford Mustang.
Okay, Steve.
And that isn't necessarily a logical purchase.
Persuasion is to be convincing. He put on quite a convincing act. So sometimes you have to maybe pretend or appear to be behaving in a certain way to persuade someone. So if something is convincing, It means that you really do believe that that thing is true. You have been persuaded.
A lot of us want to be persuaded. That's another thing to think of, the human psyche. A lot of people want to be persuaded. They want to follow in society. People don't necessarily want to have to keep making decisions for themselves. It's quite difficult to keep making decisions. So they often want somebody to make that decision for them. And somebody comes along with an answer to a problem. It's easy for you to, just give in and go with that.
Okay.
It's much easier than having to try and sort out something yourself.
Here's a good phrase we often use: to twist someone's arm.
Ooh.
So when you are trying to persuade someone to do something, you might twist their arm. You are persuading them maybe in a very forward and very strong way. You are trying to get them to do something. So we can say that you try to twist their arm. She twisted my arm to buy a new car.
Yes, So that's a husband, maybe, sounds a bit sexist, but the husband has a wife who wants a new car.
Or a lesbian.
Yeah, well, in a relationship, somebody in a relationship wants a new car and somehow persuades their other half, their other partner, to buy it for them. And, of course, they might be offering something in return for that.
Yes.
Because often if you're in relationships or in the work environment, if you're trying to persuade somebody to do something, you might have to give a concession in order to do that.
Okay.
You might have to, yes, I won't say what it could be in a relationship, but...
Here are some words that we can use to describe persuasion or to persuade. And there are many here. I won't read them all, but we have things like advise, assure, cajole, coax, enlist, entice. We also have influence, as we mentioned earlier, prompt. You satisfy. In law, they will often use the term satisfy if they have been persuaded or if they have come to a decision over something. Urge is another one. Woo. I like that word, woo. A very old-fashioned word that meant if you are trying to persuade maybe a lady or a man to go out with you, you will have to do things to attract them.
Yes.
You woo that person. Here we go, Steve. Now, you mentioned this earlier as a joke, but I'm going to mention it very quickly. Hypnotize. You might suddenly find yourself really attracted to something, but you don't know why. It's almost like you are under some sort of magic spell. Maybe a person will cajole you, or maybe they put a spell on you. And I love that idea of a person being so magnetic with their personality that they can almost persuade anyone to do anything. So
some people do have this kind of hidden power, this kind of power to persuade you, and you just have to hope that they've got a positive side to their character, and they're not trying to persuade you to do something bad.
We have 5 minutes left. We will quickly look at the uses of the word persuasion. So persuasion can be used in many different ways. The act of persuading. A point of view, of course, is your persuasion, the way you view things, and also an affiliation to a group is also your persuasion. The things you believe in are your particular persuasion. That, Mr. Steve, is that because we have 5 minutes, perfect. It's a perfect amount of time to play the game that we love playing. I love playing it. I don't know about you, Mr. Steve, but I really do love it.
It tends to be popular.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Of course, we are talking about...
Fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks, dun dun, fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks, dun dun, fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks.
Fill in the blanks. Here we go then. Fill in the blanks time, everyone. Yes, we are filling in those blanks. we have time for one game, and this is connected to today's theme, which, of course, is being persuasive or having a certain ability to persuade people to do things. Here we go. Are you ready? So this is today's fill in the blanks. Are you ready? And all you have to do is fill in those blanks. And soon as we've done that, we are going over there. We're going to have a cup of tea, aren't we, Mr. Steve?
Yeah, sorry, Francesca. We're only on for an hour today. So there we go. 3 words to get. Can I something you to something? You're something. 8 letters, 6 letters and 4 letters, beginning with C, C and M respectively.
And can we have nothing rude? This is not a rude thing, because I did realise this morning when I created this, I realised afterwards that there are at least 3 or 4 very rude, bannable sentences that you can come up with here. So none of those, please. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm not sure I do, Mr. Duncan. I think we've got it already. Valentin's got it, so it's time to go. Bye.
Okay. Valentin? Okay. Anyone else have an idea? So we will wait, because there is always a delay, you see, a slight delay. So there is about 1 minute delay between us saying things and you replying. So, can I something you to something your something? Nothing rude, please.
I recognise Vitali there, I believe.
Vitali.
See, I'm getting good, Mr. Duncan.
The mystery name. Oh, Patrick is here. Hello, Patrick. Patrick Malval is here.
Yes.
You've had a very busy week on your travels. You went to Bergerac. Is that right?
Yes, I believe
Yes.
that's where Patrick went.
Yes.
You might like to know that there was a popular detective TV series. Was it back in the 90s?
Back in the 80s.
80s, called Bergerac. Set on...
Go on. Jersey.
Which is sort of on the way to France.
Yes. Well, it's British, but it's also French. It's a very strange place, because there are lots of British people living there, but I think technically it is French.
The detective's name was Bergerac.
Yes.
Which I didn't realise was actually a town in France.
Huh? Good.
So there we go.
I hope you had a good time there. Any more guesses before we disappear? We have 2 minutes, and then we are gone. We are just like...
I think, we're pretty much settled on, can I convince you to change your mind?
Oh. Can I convince you to change your mind?
Which is a very, very poor question to ask somebody.
Well, maybe these days especially, with certain subjects, a lot of people are always trying to convince another person to change their mind.
But if you were to say that to somebody, there's only 2 possibilities for an answer. They call it a closed question. Someone will either say yes or no to that. So a better question would be, how could I convince you to change your mind? Because then it opens up the conversation.
Yes.
Because if somebody just said no to that, you've already got nowhere to go, have you, in trying to persuade them?
Yes.
So if you were trying to sell something, that would be the worst question you could possibly ask. You would rather say something like, give it an open question. How could I convince you to change your mind would be better. Not that you would ask that either, but it would be better than can I.
Well, maybe if you've been asking the person many times, you might become very desperate, which often happens. So when you're persuading someone, if you ask once, twice, 3 times, you might start to get a little bit desperate. Can I persuade you to change your mind? Is there anything I can do?
Children are very good persuasion.
Oh, yes.
Because their technique is just not to give up until the parent gives in.
Yes. If in doubt, scream and cry.
And just keep, because eventually...
It works for me.
Eventually people will give in. And if a child keeps asking for a new toy over and over again, they know that eventually the parent is likely to give in. They're very clever children. They instinctively know.
They are very good at manipulating.
That's right.
So that's another word we can use when we talk about persuading. You are manipulating. You are trying to get that person to change their mind by using certain words.
Doesn't always work between adults, because adults will get angry probably eventually and punch you or tell you not to carry on. But it does work with children.
Anyway, Steve, that is it. It's just after 3 o'clock and it is a short one. I'm going to get a breath of fresh air into my little lungs. We have a busy week. We are away next weekend. It's my birthday next Saturday. I'm very excited. We might upload a video on Saturday. I don't know what we're doing next Saturday. Maybe we'll be just relaxing and taking it easy, or maybe we'll be busy doing something. It'll
be a surprise, Mr. Duncan. You won't have to persuade me.
So there might be 1 or 2 surprises next week. We will have to wait and see. And of course, there will be a new lesson on my YouTube channel during the week. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Yes. And of course, until the next time we meet here, you know what's coming next. I know what's coming next. Mr. Steve knows what's coming next. Are you ready? Until next weekend, we are back with you, but we're not sure when or how it will happen because we have such a busy time.
But do watch, because, how can we persuade people to watch at 2 o'clock next week? We will be doing something.
Just do it.
So keep an eye on what Mr. Duncan's saying in his... how do you communicate this, Mr. Duncan? Is it through...
normally Facebook.
Through Facebook. Keep an eye on Facebook, and we'll let you know what's happening next Sunday.
Okay, then. Have a good week until we meet again. And, of course, until the next time we are all here together like a big happy family.
Ta-ta for now.
It's my birthday next week.